Welcome to This Week in College Hockey. Tony Scott, joined with our newest co-host, Jess Myers from the Pioneer Press. And I can't wait to hear all the other stops before you got to the PP.
It's weird to say that, isn't it? I've been there a year now, but it's still like, I've been to a few different places.
I want to know them all.
On this journey.
Yeah, it's a hell of a ride.
Well, it goes back to the War Road Pioneer.
We're not going there.
About 1986.
You go that far back?
The now defunct War Road Pioneer. That's where I got my start. That was my first.
Were you in high
sports
school?
writing I ever got to do? Yeah.
You were in high school?
I've told this story before, but just quickly.
Let's hear it. And by the way, Sydney Wolf from APX
joining us, our Granite
YHH.
City Bureau.
That's right.
Welcome, Sydney. 1985, 86.
So a sophomore year?
I'm the fifth string goalie on a team that needs three.
Yeah.
I'm going on all the road trips, never getting a sniff of playing time.
And someone from the paper said, hey,
and the
while
editor
you're
of the
there.
paper calls me and says, hey, you're on all the road trips? Yeah, well, we cover the home games, but we don't have anybody on the road. Would you be interested in writing up like 5-6 paragraphs for us on every road? We can't pay you other than the byline, but
yeah,
cool. Get my name in the paper. You bet.
Yeah,
that's how it started. I was at the UMD Statesman as a student, covered college hockey there.
That was your real start. I mean, no offense to the War Road.
That was the first time I got paid.
Yeah. Okay.
Did some stuff for the now.
Was there journalism school or was it mass communications?
I majored in communications, got a minor in journalism.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And how did you earn back in the late 80s? How did you earn a journalism degree if you didn't get a job at the paper?
I was at the student newspaper.
Student newspaper. How else would you have gotten experience in order
It was actually a really good journalism school. You couldn't get a major, only a minor. But
okay, got it. All
sent
right.
a lot of people to TV, radio, those kinds of things.
Oh, I don't doubt that, but I was like...
I went to college, by the way, with the idea that I was going to go into radio because I worked at KRWB in Roseau on weekends when I was in high school.
And how many... Did you have to drive over to Roseau every time?
Yep,
okay. Well, you guys are used to driving up there, aren't you?
Absolutely. I mean,
good old County Road 11.
But I go to college. I'm thinking I'm gonna be a radio guy. Well, then I realized what radio guys make.
Nothing.
Exactly. And
okay.
So I decided to do the writing thing instead, and it's worked out pretty well.
I love it. Okay, so fast forward. So it had from 1991, 92ish to the Rink Live, there's a lot of steps in between. Tell me how you got to 25 plus Frozen Fours. Who were you working for?
I was with Minnesota Hockey Magazine for a time. I was a regular stringer for AP here in the Twin Cities. Then, early 2000s, I was in on the ground floor. We a bunch of guys, friends of mine, lifelong friends of mine. We founded what was called InsideCollegeHockey.com. Inch. One of the first dedicated college hockey websites we had a decade-long run, covered a lot of Frozen Fours, did a lot of fun stuff.
So which years, 2000 to 2010-ish?
I think it was 2002 was our first Frozen Four. And
so this was the one in St. Paul?
Yeah, that was our first one. Nice one.
Hang on, really quick.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with college hockey, but how was the credentialing back in 2002? There's a lot of newspapers. There was no interweb. Right?
You know what's weird? The internet came along. The first time I remember websites covering the Frozen Four was like 97, 98, in that range. But at one point, the NCAA said, "Oh no, we don't credential websites." USAtoday.com could not get a credential because, well, USA Today could because they were print, but USAtoday.com no, we don't. It's like,
oh yeah,
you think about that now. Now print is.
Dead, basically.
Not dead, but
dead-ish.
It's
yeah. I shouldn't say that to a Pioneer Press guy. But
dead.
Yeah.
Print is secondary in a lot of cases.
Correct. Yeah.
To the online product. So I've seen a lot of changes. Let's just say that. And the other thing I'll say about covering that many Frozen Fours, I started in an era where it was still going to places like Providence in an 11,000 seat arena.
Yeah.
Albany in an AHL arena. Some smaller markets. And now it's to the point where it's NHL-size arenas minimum.
Or bust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Providence was a fantastic host city. I went there twice. But it's just outgrown those markets.
I went to, they didn't call it the Frozen Four. That's how old I am. I went to a Final Four in Duluth.
Yeah.
At the Deck.
Yep, 81.
It was incredible.
Yeah. Grand Forks hosted it at the old Ralph.
Yeah. Oh, are you serious? Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Ohio State hosted it in want to say 2005, Ohio State hosted it on campus. Now, Ohio State's arena is a 17,000 seat.
Wasn't there a Colorado College in when Lucia was there, like in Cincinnati?
Oh boy,
right? Am I wrong, or was it?
How much time we got?
We're
1996.
We're going to be nerding out the old days here, Sydney,
Okay.
before you were born.
1996, Frozen Four in Cincinnati, Ohio. Sounded like a good idea in theory.
Yeah, this is. There was nobody there, right?
Well, so number one, it was played at the old Riverfront Coliseum. I don't know what it's called now. Now, ironically, it's been refurbished now. It's a very nice arena. At the time, nobody had played in that arena. They hadn't had a tenant, I think, since the Cincinnati Stingers in the old WHA.
So, like, no goal light or
no
stuff
goal
like
light. They had
no goal.
Only place I've ever
spot.
seen this. The scoreboard was on one end. It wasn't. They didn't even have a center
I
on the
love that.
scoreboard.
I love
so it
that.
was this arena that hadn't been touched forever. And then, 4 teams in it are Boston University, Michigan, Colorado College, and Vermont.
Was this 96?
96.
So that was Michigan won that
Michigan won that one. That was Brad Berenson's first title. Went to overtime with Don Lucia and Colorado College.
Yeah.
But here's the legendary story. So like an hour before the first game, somebody decides, we need to drill the net pegs a little deeper.
Oh, boy.
You know where this is going.
I can feel it.
Somebody comes out with a big drill, starts drilling into the ice, and they hit one of the Freon pipes.
Oh.
Had to shut down the ice plant. They patched it, dug up all the ice. Okay, we're going to delay the game an hour. They put a patch on. Okay, we'll turn on the ice plant. And they're like, no. You can't turn the ice plant back on. You're going to blow that patch right out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, so they played Colorado College versus Vermont with the ice plant turned off. Now, you can imagine what the ice was like by the third period.
It'd be mush.
Okay. As the hockey gods, because they have a sense of humor, as luck has it, the game goes to double overtime.
Of course they did.
So
were they dry scraping it or just shoveling
Yep.
it?
But it was, that much ice or that much water on top of what was left of the ice by the second overtime. Brian Swanson, who played for Colorado College, his famous line was, if you fell down, you got up weighing 5 pounds heavier because you were just soaked. And Lucia will talk about this, but his famous move was first overtime intermission. He had the guys strip down everything they had and said, any dry clothing you have, put it on. Because by this time, not only are you soaked from sweat, but you're soaked from all of the water you've accumulated. So they made the move, and they get a goal in the second overtime, and CC goes to the championship game. But Cincinnati is a great town, great river town, great sports town.
Yeah,
but just a disaster for the Frozen Four. It was too bad
because
the local organizing folks tried so hard. They're so nice, and didn't get much of a crowd. A lot of Michigan fans showed up because it was their first title, and it was you could drive there within 4 or 5 hours, whatever it is. But CC doesn't travel very well because it's just not a very big school
or big alumni base.
Vermont's a long way away. BU is a long way away. That was the BU team, by the way, that Travis Roy,
he was on that team.
He was on that team. That was the season where he
got injured.
Literally first shift of his first collegiate game, he was paralyzed for life. God rest his soul. He's now passed away. But that was that was a memorable one, and for a lot of wrong reasons.
We're gonna go back in time, like just page back. Was paging back with Jess Myers.
Yep.
On just Frozen Force. I love it. Well, I can't wait.
How you doing, Sydney?
Oh, she went mute on us.
We can't hear Sydney.
So how are you doing, Sydney? Let's hear what you've been up to. I know you're now working at APX Hockey, which is a big YHH sponsor. What a great collaboration we're going to have, for this year and many, many more. So tell us what your role is at APX and how you'll be involved with both of us this hockey season.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I know if anybody listened to our one summer pod, you might have gotten a little bit more info on this, but in case you've been, out of touch for a couple months, I started with them in June, which was super awesome. And I've just been kind of doing the same thing that I was doing at the Rink Live, or as we've been joking, the Rink Dead, and then did my own thing for a while.
Who came
and
up with
then,
that? Was you or Jess?
Sydney
I think Jess
Sydney and I
said
were
that.
part
I
of
think
a
Jess-
part of a team at one point.
Yeah, I know, but who coined it?
So
I
somebody
believe that was Jess.
yeah, at a Gopher hockey media availability last year, one of my first for the Pioneer Press, somebody said, "So no more Rink Live." I said, "No, now it's the Rink Dead." So,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, it was a good run.
So-
We had a good, 5 years or so
Yeah.
there. Did a lot of great work, and I will tell people, Forum was a great company to work for. I will never say a bad thing in my life about my experience there. But
I loved it.
like all things, sometimes things have a shelf life, and that was it for that one.
I love what you guys were doing. I'm like, people are like, they're competing. I'm like, we're not competing. I'm like, we're doing work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people ask me in the tournament business, who's your competitor? I'm like, Available Ice is my competitor.
Yeah.
Like that's our biggest competitor, is just getting the ice, so I don't have to work on Labor Day or Memorial Day. That's our biggest competitor.
I think you just need to build your own super rink. That's my idea.
Oh,
Yeah.
scary,
So-
but tempting, but never gonna happen.
The Scott Center,
the
why
Tony Scott Center, yes.
Tony Scott, not Memorial Arena,
Yeah.
Not Memorial.
not yet. No.
It would be Memorial because my wife would kill me. Okay, so you saw a lot of hockey this weekend. You were the tweet machine, so you saw a lot of men's and women's
so this
college
show will
hockey.
be a lot of fun because obviously I already was on this show for a chunk last year, and then obviously I already know Jess too. So I think this will be a fun show this year. And I'm with APX now, but I'm still doing the same thing I was doing with writing stories for them and doing some media for them as they're kind of starting to move into that space, which is cool. And obviously we have a lot of awesome athletes in college and juniors too. So we'll talk about some of those guys from time to time too. Anybody who has a good weekend and stuff like that, which will be fun
So-
to kind of talk about those guys. And
I think we had
it's been a fun summer.
a dual sport athlete, a dual purpose athlete on display last night at the Herb Brooks Center. Carson Musser, who got the W from transfer from Colorado College. He works out at APX and he works for APX. Does it get any better than that?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. And, that would have been his first official start for the Tommies after transferring from CC. So cool to see him get the dub for them. So now he's got that, first official start for them, first win. So good to know. And I think you have funny stories about him too, Tony, right?
I got one. Go ahead, Jess.
I was going to say, for people who don't know Carson Musser's background, he's from
Worthington. He played Fairmont.
Right. He played for, some really small youth hockey program in southern Minnesota.
Fairmont.
Okay.
Yep.
And not a great program. I mean, just not very competitive. This kid was facing 60, 70 shots a night in youth hockey.
Yep.
Wound up, going playing juniors. And when I interviewed him, he said his biggest dream all his life, he wanted to be a Minnesota Gopher. So
yeah.
It didn't happen, obviously. Now he's going to play for the competition for the Tommies, although they don't play each other this year.
They don't. No, they don't. Yeah. All right, so we discovered him in a way, and not completely. Someone brought him and said, hey, I see you have this Black Bears team. So we'd have these youth hockey tournaments, and when you get a bunch of fill-ins and just make a team, that was the Black Bears. Carson Musser comes up, and he makes 50 saves a game for 5 straight games. I'm like, this kid's pretty darn good. Yeah. Next year, same tournament. Hey, his dad, Bart, calls me up and says, hey, if you're doing that Black Bears thing, he would do it in a heartbeat. That was the best experience ever for him. So we get together, and he calls me, are you going to get another goalie? I'm like, not if I don't have to. Kid's really good. He goes, he's got a geography bee at the University of Minnesota that he's got to be at 2 o'clock. Could you make the schedule around that? I'm like, no problem, boss. I got your geography bee all done. So
and kudos to him. I mean, nothing against the Colorado College program. If you're sitting behind Caden and Barrico, you're not going to get a lot of time. So, there's one of those cases where I think the transfer portal, works perfectly for a kid to get a new opportunity, come a little closer to home. And I was thinking about this, Sydney. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know if you were there. Mick Hatton and I were definitely at the National Hockey Center for the first ever Division I game in Tommy's history. I think,
Against St. Cloud? Yeah, I was.
it was
at that
bad.
I
game.
think the Huskies put up 11 that night.
I think it was
It was
11-2.
And
or
I will
12
say, watching that game this weekend, not that it was a blowout or anything, but the tables have turned and mighty quickly.
Yeah, and everybody kind of knew that, though.
Yeah, 3-4 years ago, that was the talk. Is like, the Tommies are going to take their lumps, but it's not going to take long to build a pretty good program there. And man, oh man, look at where we are now. They start the season ranked in the top 20 for the first time in program history. They've got a new building that's set to open in just a matter
2
of days,
weeks.
and I've been inside there. It's
amazing.
Oof, they did it right. I mean, you're right in the heart of the Twin Cities, recruiting country. Yeah, it's coming around really quickly there.
It's really nice. It's really nice. I'm excited to watch that, and the rivalry between the Gophers and Tommies will be good in a couple of years.
Hey, the fact that they won't play each other this year, I love it. The fact that there's already bad blood between the two coaches because they didn't play this year. And, but Steve Miller, Gopher assistant coach, his son
kid's on the team.
Plays for the Tommies, so all of these connections that way. But, but that's what a crosstown rivalry should be.
It should be.
Absolutely. We've watched BU and BC for how many years? We've watched Michigan State. We should have, we should have this, and this is going to be great.
You know this better than anybody. I mean, Bob, when he gets in these intrastate games, he goes, I want to play them all.
Absolutely.
I only have so many, dates on the calendar. Yeah. And then he says that. I would love to do the follow-up. If you do that, then why do you have Robert Morris on your schedule? I always think that. Don't you think that?
To his credit,
come on.
He'll go play
Alaska.
He'll play an exhibition game against Bemidji or
he and Ernie are buddies.
Absolutely. So I do think they're doing things the right way. With that said, there was absolutely some bad blood after they played last year. The Tommies thought the Gophers gooned it up, the Gophers thought the Tommies gooned it up. The Tommies thought the Gophers ran it up.
Right.
They're probably both right.
Right.
So that's what makes a rivalry, I guess.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited. I love it. I can't wait till the day when Augustana gets into Mariucci. That'll be fun. With Bob and Garrett.
And Sydney, you know my Roseau County background. I did note the fact in your notes that you made, and thank you, by the way. Noah Ernest, first goal, Roseau kid, and Damon Gardner, a dumb penalty, a Warroad kid. So we've got both ends.
Talk about that later, but I have a lot of thoughts on that one.
We've got both ends of the Highway 11 rivalry covered for the Huskies, good and bad.
You cannot swing a dead cat in Minnesota without getting a Roseau Warroad or Roseau or Warroad talk.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's hilarious. On the boys' show, because I don't know the bloodlines in the world as well as you do, but I'm pretty close. I got the whole Cal Marvin tree. I got all the trees down, right? Yep. Like, oh my God, Tony! Here's Tony's segment on the Cal Marvin tree, and I'm like, and all we get the Honfits coming up now, where it's going to be just Avon Honfit and his brother. I mean, it's going to be insane. It just gets better and better every year.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk some hockey. Are we ready for hockey?
The line I always use, "Wanted Dead or Alive" by Bon Jovi, one of my favorite songs. It was big when I was in high school. Yep. That was kind of our theme for my senior year. And the opening line of that song, it so perfectly encompasses the towns up there and the teams up there. It's all the same, only the names will change. The rivalry endures over generations and years and decades and all of that. It's just, what's the next generation coming up?
It's funny though, like, the rivalry is great, but like right now, and no harm meant to Roseau, but they don't have as much going as they do in World. I'm sure you've seen over 50 years, you've seen it ebb and flow.
Absolutely. I got to say this though. I've utmost respect for the Roseau program. Being, I'm a Warrior guy. I'm supposed to hate all things green and white, all that. But Greg Lund, who coaches Roseau, great guy. He's become a good friend of mine over the years. As dumb luck would have it, I'm out in Vegas covering the Wild in the playoffs last April, and Greg's out there with some buddies.
Yeah,
we wound up, having a beer before one of the games. I wasn't drinking; I was writing. But
sure,
God bless. Greg's having a beer. Now, for years, this is kind of a side note, but I've contended that for what it pays and what it entails, coaching boys high school hockey in Minnesota has got to be one of the worst jobs in America. Just when you think of all the stuff you have to deal with, and your hourly rate for that.
Yeah.
Am I off target?
No, not at all. And the thing that nobody understands, like there was a guy, his name's Brian Murphy, was the longtime Minnetonka Bantam AA coach. They won titles, they did all this stuff, and then he got the job at Totino. And Murph said to me once, he goes, I couldn't believe how much work I had to put. Like, yeah, you had a team manager at Minnetonka. You are the team manager and the coach. You get the buses, you get everything. It's a big time administrative hassle, that job.
So knowing some of these very successful, legendary coaches in Minnesota high school hockey, I hear from Mark Osiki about, guys would approach his dad in a restaurant when the family's out for a meal, talking about how he didn't know what he was doing, running their power play the wrong way. I hear people talking, Jay Hardwick, who has Warroad in the state championship a lot, and hasn't won one yet, but game. He doesn't know what he's doing. So I said to Greg Lund over a nice conversation, I said, I don't know how you guys do it. And one of the coolest things I heard anywhere last year is he looked at me and he said, you know what? To get to do what I do in my hometown, coaching the team I grew up playing, rooting for and all that, he said, it is one of the coolest things anybody could ever experience.
Oh, really?
What a cool thing to hear.
So no complaints.
Absolutely. And I'm sure, he still deals with the parents calling late at night upset because little Jimmy didn't get to be put on the second penalty kill unit or whatever it happens to be. You still deal with that, but it was really cool to hear that perspective on it.
That is pretty cool. Yep. He's always been super easy to work with. We've been lucky enough to do the Max rivalry up there for the last 7 or 8 years. We didn't get to do COVID year, but we've done it a lot. And for me, I feel honored that I get to be part of that every year and just roll up my sleeves and it's not just the rivalry, it's the celebrity golf, it's all the other things that go with it, and being friends with Izzy and ever since he lost his son Max and helping be part of that foundation and growing that stuff. It's been a phenomenal experience. I always joke, they go, "You're such a world guy." I'm like, well, I feel like I'm the drug dealer, and they're just a bunch of junkies in that town. That's what I tell people.
It's
true, right?
You deal their drug of choice, which is
hockey. Exactly. That's the way I look at Warroad.
Absolutely.
All right. Speaking of Warroad, we have probably some Warroad kids we're going to talk about today. Sydney, you're going to kind of run us through all the games of note. The show is about college hockey. We'll have a little bit of focus on Minnesotans, but we're not going to forget about our good friend Gavin McKenna either. So let's get rolling.
Yeah. Minnesotans plus other notable, I feel like, is our go-to. But we might as well just run through some of the Minnesota teams that played this weekend. Bemidji State, good weekend for them. They just played really well, looks like. Took care of Anchorage pretty easily. A lot of Minnesotans in this game. Tony, 2 first career goals. Luke Roloffs, Holy Family grad. Tori Lund, Sartell grad, both first career goals as sophomores. Love to see it. And their freshman goalie got a shutout last night as well.
Was this Hildebrand?
Like good, good opening weekend. I didn't watch any of these games because it was Alaska time. So
10:07 starts.
There were a couple times back when I was doing a lot of freelancing. I would leave like Mankato after a Mankato, Wisconsin game. Say. And just right at that moment, the Gopher game in Anchorage was coming on the radio. Perfect. Got you home, Starting at 10 p.m.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. Or vice versa.
Following those games is tough.
It is hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And it seemed like Minnesota teams over the last 3-4 decades of going up there wouldn't do very well in Alaska. It's a tougher place to go. And both Minnesota teams swept.
One of the funnier lines I ever heard from Doug Wood. God rest his soul, just a legendary wit and
everything.
Legendary coach as well. Anchorage is playing in Minnesota, playing the Gophers. We're at the old Blue Line Club meeting, and Brush Christensen, who founded the Anchorage program, is getting up there. He's talking, and he's, Alaska's a great place. It's beautiful. He said it's 6 hours from the Twin Cities. You can get there without much problem. And when Doug got up to speak, he said, "That's odd. We always get on the 9-hour flight. I don't know how that works."
That's crazy. Speaking of Minnesota teams, UMD sweeps Fairbanks, too. That's a rare Minnesota sweep of Alaska, 4 straight wins. I feel like we got the Shaga Bay plant game going well.
I was going to say,
right?
early leader in the clubhouse for most dynamic line in Minnesota. Plant Shagaby.
It's going to be fun. It'll be fun to watch. They all have a certain dynamic to their game, but playmaking is all three.
Yeah.
So they're very unselfish players. It should be a good group. I don't know if they have the depth. I'm wondering if UMD is going to have the depth this year to compete in the NCHC. Jess, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, and that was the issue. One of the issues last year is, when guys get injured, can't remember which of the Plant boys was hurt.
They were all hurt.
Yeah. I mean,
including Jason.
And by the way, I heard a knock on Jason Shogby last year from a fan of another team. They said, well, all he does is score on special teams. Well, that's a pretty important
darn
thing.
Good one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
That was like the old knock on Chris Carter. Yeah, all he does is score touchdowns. Yeah. I'll take that, because unless the other team's playing penalty free, you're going to get your opportunities. So.
I think they were funny you should say that. I remember doing one of the stats last year. I think they were the lowest, fewest goals in conference 5-on-5, which was UMD, and that again, hence the reason they were in the lower half of the division. You got to score those 5-on-5s. You want to get to the Gophers, or we can just skip past that one real quick?
Well, so I'll just say, that's kind of rare. I feel like we see teams go up and sweep both Alaska games. I'm not surprised with Anchorage because they've kind of had a tough go of it the last few years, I feel like. But sweeping Fairbanks, I feel like it's good. They've been tough the past few years, honestly, to sweep.
Eric Largan has done a really nice job with that program, considering what they're up against travel-wise, considering the fact that they don't have a conference still. They're picking up games wherever they can find them. He's done a really nice job with that program.
Eric and Rabs had a good relationship. I think they had like 4 or 5, 6 games last year between Augustana. Augustana, came in late and has a hard time finding games because they only had one conference game where they didn't have the 2 conference games last year. Now, switching gears to the Gophers. Gophers split with Michigan Tech. Anybody on this podcast surprised that they didn't sweep Michigan Tech?
I'm really not.
I'm not either.
Bill McCall did great stuff at Lindenwood. Was a top assistant coach at Michigan. He's a Michigan guy. And this is the transfer portal era. What does he do? He goes and takes everybody good who plays for Lindenwood,
brings him,
hauls them up to Houghton with him. And, Sydney made some great notes on this. Leo Gruba got hurt. That's tough to see because just a great player and a great kid.
Oh, yeah.
Overall, one of the top defensemen in the USHL during his time in Fargo. You hate to see that, especially this early in the season. But here's what I'll say. Here was kind of the cool storyline. Owen Bartoskevich, Gophers backup goalie, on that team that made the run to the national championship game, comes back in the building where he used to play, beats the Gophers. I texted his dad after the game, and I said, hey, cool moment for your family. He said, hey, he was nervous for this one, but good for him.
That absolutely was super cool for Owen. You got your Tate Pritchard got his first career goal. He never made it to Mankato, did he?
No, he
was a Mankato commit, correct?
This is a sensitive subject, Tony. This is sensitive.
Oh,
sorry.
Yeah. No, this one's,
Why?
He was he decommitted from Mankato and then recommitted to the Gophers. So that was not great for them, obviously.
No.
Yeah.
Tate's a good player, and I think the reason that he ended up at Minnesota was because of Ludke. Those guys had played together
Tanner
at Lakeville
Ludke,
South.
who transferred from Omaha.
Yeah.
Another Twin Cities kid. And then another interesting thing we saw last night, Michigan Tech, credit to them, they come back from 3-2 down and make a nice rally and win that game. LJ Mooney, by the way, got his first goal for the Gophers. If guys haven't taken a look at him, he's going to be fun to watch. Not a big kid. He is Logan Cooley's first cousin.
Yeah.
They lived across the street from each other. Their moms are sisters.
Yeah.
He wears number 18 because Logan Cooley was his hero, and Cooley always wore 18 before he came to the University of Minnesota. A little bit of trivia, by the way. Mason Nevers had 18.
18, yes.
And so Logan Cooley switched to 92. I said, why 92? He said, 9 times 2 is 18. Duh.
I love it. Well, you want to play 18 and 81 games. Dave Snuggerud wore 18 at the Gophers, and Jimmy's 81
Jimmy's
to
81,
reverse that. Who was the guy? It was the Game Notes guy. Kept this literally like a chart charting the amount of goals and assists between Dave Snuggerud and Jimmy Snuggerud. Both played 3 years for the goal. I mean, it's crazy. The numbers, how synced the two numbers were between Dave and Jimmy.
You want to hear the sad note?
What?
Both of them lost the national championship game in overtime.
Yeah, I was.
Snuggerud
I was at both of them.
Snuggerud in '89 against Harvard, and
23.
Dave in '89, and then 23 in Tampa. Yeah.
Rough.
Ouch.
Thanks for bringing that up.
with the Gophers too, I don't know how closely either of you guys watched the game. I just was watching highlights and clips here and there during intermission of the St. Thomas St. Cloud game, but some people were getting a little concerned about goaltending. I mean, do you guys have any worries at all about goaltending this year for the Gophers? Some people didn't think DePasquo seemed all that comfortable.
I think it's a little early.
It's I guess it's early to make that judgment. I will say this: I watched I watched bits and pieces of both games. Friday night early, Nathan Airy looked like he was fighting the puck. Wasn't controlling rebounds. Things were kind of bouncing on him. To his credit, he settled down. They found a way to win that game. DePasquo is an interesting one because another guy sitting behind Trey Augustine, he was just never going to see the light of day at Michigan State. Transfers to Minnesota. He went 7-0 last year for the Spartans, so certainly got a good pedigree behind him. I didn't see enough where I would worry about goaltending. I will note the fact that the Gophers had 13 shots in the game.
Yeah.
13.
That's a problem.
And Michigan Tech had something like 35. So you certainly don't expect that. You expect kind of a role reversal there. Minnesota is supposed to be the high-flying offensive team, and Michigan Tech's the team that drops four guys back on the blue line and holds on and all of that. But Michigan Tech was the real aggressor, and credit to them, again, for coming in here and saying, we're not going to be intimidated. We're going to play our game. We're going to take it to you.
And I thought McCult did a great job. He was able to, once he got hired, he was able to retrieve players that had transferred, brought transfers in. I mean, I think he did a nice job of rectifying the program really quickly.
I'll say this, too, just not to dwell too much on Michigan Tech. That was probably the most interesting coaching transition we had in the offseason because it came absolutely out of nowhere. Joe Sean had been the coach there for several years, had some incidents. Okay, let's just say that. He had some stuff where, players left the team abruptly, players went to the athletic director, said, we're not treated well. He kind of was I'm the old school guy, I'm the Herb Brooks clone. Maybe a coaching style that doesn't fly in 2024-25. Out of nowhere, like on a Friday, we get a press release from Michigan Tech saying Bill McCult announced as our new coach.
They didn't even fire the coach.
And there's like one paragraph in there saying, we want to thank Joe Sean for his time. This is how we find out.
It was insane.
Not only did you fire your coach, but you've already hired a new one. And granted, it's Houghton, Michigan. It's not a busy media market with a lot of reporters banging at the door wondering what's going on. But man, oh man, did they keep that quiet.
So I have some good sources on this topic.
Sure.
And what I've gathered is you were kind of, dancing around there like maybe he was a Herb Brooks, style, whatever. I think really what it came down to was a renewal, right? Joe wanted a renewal.
Yep.
And the AD was like,
wanted that vote of confidence, and they were not going to provide it.
Like, they just could not come to an agreement on, okay, I'm not going to extend the guy that's – I'm just, again, just spitballing here. She probably was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you're more work than it's worth. I'm not going to renew you. I will – you can coach through your contract or we'll buy you out. And he was like – probably was like, no, I'm. You can't get rid. You would never just get rid of me. I haven't done anything wrong. Maybe his ego and his agent's ego were like, no, there's no way they would do that. And she finally went. She probably just got on the phone, got a coach, and said, I just did it. Thanks. Have a nice day. He probably found out 3 hours before the muck called.
We weren't in the room, but you can almost envision him saying, well, what are you going to do? Fire me? And it's like, well, yes, actually, we are going to fire you.
Just didn't renew. Did not renew.
And I mean, we've seen that happen before. George Gwozdecki, won 2 national championships.
Unbelievable.
In Denver.
That's even crazy.
Wanted an extension.
Didn't get it.
They weren't willing to extend him to the term he liked, so they just parted ways.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
But one 2 national championships.
Won 2 national championships.
And one didn't.
Yep.
So it was. I'm glad you brought that up.
And this is kind of a nuance in college coaching, especially though. But a coach never wants to go into the final year of their contract.
Correct.
Because they want to be able to say to recruits, I'm going to be here for the next however many years.
That used to be a thing, Jess.
Yeah.
It's not anymore.
And I mean,
now as the AD, you're like, just tell them whatever. Like there's so much fluidity within these rosters now. I mean, look at poor Linwood.
I saw at the World Junior Summer Showcase. A lot
Yep.
of college coaches.
Oh yeah.
Wound up talking to Guy Godowski from Penn State for a little bit. The coach at Michigan was there for a little. Just chatting with some of these guys. Just general coaching world. Not specifics, but I can't remember who it was. One of the Big Ten coaches said, it used to be on about May 15th, your roster was set. Now your roster is going to be changing at Thanksgiving. It's crazy.
Yeah. Do you remember what was that guy's? There's a crazy story. This was crazy back then. Now it's not crazy anymore. What was the kid name? Oh God, he was an Edina kid. Left the USHL, came in. It was like in 2017. Oh, I can't think of his name.
Where
right
did he
now.
go to? Where did he go to school?
He went to Edina and went to the U. Clayton Phillips.
Clayton Phillips
Came in his senior year of high school.
Yep.
He was in the USHL, and
brought him in halfway through the year.
And Nate, whatever his name is, went back to juniors, and he got his room.
Yep.
So Clayton shows up.
In fact,
what was the kid? It was Nate something. He was a Lakeville kid, I think.
Yeah.
But how crazy is this?
So Clayton Phillips is with the Gophers for a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Came in halfway through a year, plays half of 1 year and a full year, and then
transferred to Penn State.
Transferred to Penn State. Now, this is where it gets interesting because you mentioned the whole USHL thing. I called up Kerry Eads because he had coached Clayton Phillips at Fargo.
Fargo, yeah.
And I said, any comment on the record about him transferring to Penn State? And he said, yeah, absolutely. This is what happens when you take kids out of juniors too soon.
Yeah.
And was just, absolutely unabashed, Don Lucia screwed this one up. You should have given him more time to develop, and he would have been fine. And to Clayton Phillips' credit, he went to Penn State. He had a nice career there. I think he won a Big Ten title there, so good for him.
Yeah. It's just a weird, but like that stuff, remember halfway through the year, now this stuff happens all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like no big deal.
The excitement about the major junior kids coming to college, I've said to more than one coach, that on October 20th, somebody's going to be headed back to Prince George because he doesn't like that he's not on the first power play.
It's going to happen.
It's going to be a two-way street.
It's going to happen
more often than you think.
And just like kids from America going up there, they don't understand the breadth of a Memorial Cup. I think some of these kids coming down here don't understand the importance of winning a national championship for North Dakota or Minnesota.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Or Boston College. I mean, these towns, you exist on your national championships or your Frozen Fours, right?
Wild development camp this year. Ryder Ritchie was there. He's playing at Boston University now.
Yep.
He played at Medicine Hat last year. He was with Gavin McKenna on that unbelievable Medicine Hat team. He said college hockey's like the hot thing now. Like everybody
they want it.
In Canada wants it. Oh, college hockey, we can go,
They want it. No doubt about
best
it.
Line
He's at BU?
He's at BU.
God, it's crazy.
Best line I've ever heard on this topic. Brett Larson.
Yep.
St. Cloud State coach, when he was an assistant coach at Ohio State. And this is back when, you had to be either or. You couldn't do both. He said, well, our pitch to some of these kids is, well, if you play major juniors and you have a day off on a Saturday, you can go to the mall in some small town in Saskatchewan. You can go to the arcade. You can play video games. If you're at Ohio State, you can go to a football game with 45,000 girls. It's your choice, whatever you're interested in.
I like that. I like that. All right. Speaking of St. Cloud State and Brett Larson, his team took on St. Thomas. I believe St. Thomas got off to a fast start, like 3-0. What else happened in that game, Sydney?
Yeah, that was an interesting one because obviously they went up 3-0, the Tommies did, and I got to give it to St. Thomas. They were just capitalizing on every opportunity that they had to. I think 2 of the goals were 2-on-1s that just were executed perfectly, and the third one, I think it was Lucas Wallen, great shot from close. So, I mean, all 3 goals they had were great, honestly, but they just executed all their chances that they had really well. And then we had a couple first career goals. This one was kind of crazy. Tony, I don't know if you saw the replay of this. Mason Reiners, who's a senior, first career goal.
Wow.
Short-handed, assisted by Barrett Hall, I think it was. So that was kind of fun. That was wild. Noah Ernest, first career goal. The Ernest Road Thorson line, easily my favorite.
Yeah,
already.
Didn't you predict big things out of them on Saturday when we talked?
Yeah, I mean, Road and Ernest already looked great, and Gavin Thorson's so fun because I texted Tony you this too, but he's such a punk on the ice. It's so fun to watch. He
What a
irritates
great
everybody.
word! What a perfect description of Gavin Thorson. I've never
Well,
called him a punk,
he's just that
but
guy who
now
just
I for
irritates
sure is him.
everybody. But you need those guys on your team. You need somebody who's going to irritate everybody. So he does that.
Have you
great.
met Pat Micheletti?
Yes. Yes.
That's a proud tradition. Being the punk, being the guy everybody hates.
He was definitely
Yeah.
the punk for sure. For sure was.
So-
and like the third leading scorer all time, is he something like that, Pat?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So he could
I,
also
yeah.
put it in that too.
Just a side note, when I wrote about Pat Micheletti, I said this is a mathematical equation that doesn't make any sense, because how are you like the third all-time leading scorer in Gopher hockey history and also the penalty minutes later? How did you get that
incredible.
many points when you were spending 6-8 minutes a game
In the box.
in solitude thinking about your sins?
Have you heard him on the radio?
Yeah.
I think Kevin Fallness wants to put him in the box like at least every episode I'm on with him. I'm like, you guys stop fighting. I just want to talk about hockey in Minnesota, you know?
Yep.
He's a classic.
I mean, speaking of the box, so St. Cloud rallies to tie it. It's 3-3. Things are looking very good.
When
got
did
a
they
lot of
tie it? In the
pressure.
third period or second period?
Third period.
Third period. So
Late.
is the place jumping? Do we have half full or more than half
Yeah,
full?
I mean, I wasn't in the building. I was watching this
Oh,
one
okay.
on TV, but I was watching it. They tie it up. I didn't even think they were going to tie it up. They tied it up. They got a lot of momentum. And then, I got to call it out, Jess, but not a good play by the War Road.
No apology
guy.
needed. I mean, you make a dumb play, it doesn't matter where you played high school hockey.
Yeah, Damon Gardner takes a not great 5 for head contact with 5 minutes left.
Kind of out of
Unscored,
character
game
for him
over.
too. Not that,
Not a penalty guy.
Yeah.
not a penalty
He's
guy,
a goal
not a
scorer.
hothead. Yeah,
Yeah, so unfortunately it was a 5 with, I want to say 5:37 left or something. So they score and it's pretty much, it's over.
Not
So,
only do you score, but you remain on the power play.
Yeah. Wow.
yeah, I think it was a 5 in a game too.
Yeah.
I think it was. So
So he'll probably
happened,
So he might miss the next game then too. Yeah.
He could, yeah.
I don't know,
I can't
but
remember the nuance.
St.
there.
Thomas won that one 4-3. We tweeted a little bit the night before St. Cloud played Augustana in an exhibition game. It was 2-2.
Did you hear about
but
this,
they didn't-
Jess? Did you hear about
Yeah,
this
they
game?
didn't
Well, I heard
play-
about it, but what?
They were doing 5-on-4.
normal
They were doing scrimmage stuff.
Oh, why not?
I
Yeah.
love it, but it was like
Absolutely.
they were doing did they do empty net stuff too?
Yeah, so the first
I
2
love it.
periods were normal, and then the third period was 5 minutes of power play for each team, 5 minutes of 4-on-4, 5 minutes of 3-on-3, and then they didn't call any penalties in the third, which led to a lot of chippiness, except for there was one penalty shot.
Why
So
not?
That's
Why
it
not?
was very interesting, but it was like watching a practice in the third, which was fun though.
Be
It was very
honest.
competitive.
Any level of hockey anywhere, before you ever watch another third place game, would you rather watch a third place game or would you rather watch that?
I would rather watch that all
Absolutely.
day.
Yeah.
All day. All day.
If it's
all
an
day.
exhibition game, why not?
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and
one
fun to see Garrett Raboy. That's his first time back to St.
Yeah.
Cloud, isn't it?
Against the Huskies, yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Well, and one other thing I thought I would toss out there, Tony, and this isn't a Minnesotan, but St. Cloud State's senior draft pick forward Adam Ingram listed out this weekend due to team academic suspension. I don't know how you get that as a senior at St. Cloud State. And I don't know how long. Apparently someone told me it's just for the week for now, but I don't know what that even means or how you get to that.
I mean, was
Let's
that
see
was that a little jab at your alma mater too? Like, how do you get in trouble at St. Cloud State?
Well, mostly because if you're a senior, you know what you're getting into. So unless
That's
there's
true, right.
other things happening, maybe there is. I don't know, but I don't know how that happens once you've been there 3 years already.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
know what you're getting into with classes. So I don't know what's up with that, but that is not great because that's somebody who you would expect to score quite a bit this year. So
All right, is
Not
this the time?
ideal.
Is this the time we can go to the NPI? Because that would be
yeah,
last
do you want
night's
to talk
game.
about that a little
Because
bit?
that game, St. Thomas versus St. Cloud, two opponents not in the same conference. Those will have bearing on the pairwise come March. Jess, what is the NPI, which we will be talking about a lot this year versus the pairwise?
It's the National Produce Institute. They're the guys who promote romaine lettuce and I don't
cherries.
I don't know what NPI stands for.
It's
but
the national and
it's the new pairwise.
yeah.
It's the new math. It's the new way that they're going to determine the NCAA tournament field.
National NCAA Power Index, I think it is.
Okay.
Correct. NPI.
National Power Index. I like it.
You know why I know that? I looked it up 8 minutes before you arrived.
I
was like,
actually-
what is this?
I actually did. I went to NPI for 2 years. I was on the water polo team there.
You were? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Were you the goalie?
I left. I can't talk about why, but
Okay.
Yeah. No,
All right.
You know, NPI sounds like a
It
place
does.
where you'd get an accounting degree.
Yes, it would be.
To me, and so yeah. To make a long story short, it's the new way that they're going to determine the NCAA field. We've used the pairwise forever. Now, Sydney, you were mentioning mathematically, it's not that much different.
Yeah, I've heard that it's not that much. Somebody, I can't remember what I was listening to, if it was the St. Cloud broadcast last night. It might have been Jim Erickson or who I was listening to, that said if you ran the tournament field from last year with this new math, it wouldn't have changed anything. So I don't think it's that drastic. Just a couple small tweaks.
Gotcha.
Something wrong with your microphone. I don't know what happened there.
Getting a little digitized there. I will say, by the
Yeah.
way, she mentioned Jim Erickson. One of the great guys in this game. It calls him amazing game. Super nice guy. Whether you like the Huskies or not, listen to Jim Erickson call a game. Just fun to listen to. State tournament, voice of the state tournament all these years. And speaking of broadcasters, Gophers brought back Frank Mazzacco this weekend just for a 2-game stint. They pulled him out of retirement.
Is that who was with them?
It was Frank Mazzacco and Pat Micheletti calling the games on Fox 9 in the Twin Cities. So.
I got a text. I can't believe he didn't recognize that. This guy sent me this text. He said, what did he say? It's so fun. I wouldn't waste your time, but this was so funny what he said. Just find a way to listen to Gopher TV. Michelotti and someone that sounds 10 years older than him. More like 30 years older than him.
I will
20.
say this, in Frank's, Frank is a consummate pro.
I love Frank
He puts on his
Mazzacco.
game face better than anybody. He even admitted his voice was not in mid-season shape. He hasn't called a game in a while, so he did sound a little gravelly. But the insights, you
He's
can't
the best.
you can't fake that. I mean,
I don't think when I think of Gopher hockey, I think of Frank and Wally.
Frank and Wally, yeah.
I think of those two.
And I'll say this too. I enjoyed my time covering the Gophers. Some of the great nights we had were finding a little Mexican place in Columbus, or getting a steak in State College, on a nice Thursday night, before a big series. Those are the times you really enjoy as a journalist covering college hockey.
So true story. I'm in the lunchroom at the Boston Garden or whatever they call it at the Frozen 422, and I'm sitting there eating a ham sandwich, minding my own business, and there's like 2 open spots. And I'm kind of on my phone or my computer doing something. I look up, and here comes Frank and Wally. And the only 2 open seats in the entire lunchroom are next to me. And they come walking at me. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And sure enough, they sat down. They go, are these taken? I'm like, not for you 2?
Yep.
You can have whatever you want as long as you give me 5 minutes of me worshiping you. And they were, what? Who are you? And I kind of explained what I was doing. And they had never heard of really YHH. They kind of knew what it was. And they just thought it was the coolest thing that we were there kind of covering it and, tracking these kids that had been playing in front of our lens for all those years.
Sure,
And it was
sure.
cool. So, the reason we were there, especially there, was because there was 22 on the Gophers, 17 or something like that on Mankato, and then of course Bobby Bring wins the championship
For Denver, yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. So,
Yep.
Okay, so let's move on. We're off the NPI. Let's talk about some other notable stuff. You want to roll us through this, Sydney?
Sure. I mean, I thought we might as well mention the debut of Gavin McKenna. Everybody was super hyped, just in general for his debut and just for the Penn State-Arizona State game, because that was going to be wild. I saw this wasn't the case for both games, but one of the games, Tony, there was a all-Minnesotan top line of Lucius Potter Shimmick. A good one.
That's incredible. There's so much talent there.
Say, a line of, if people don't know the Minnesotan skaters very well, Lucius and Potter just sounds like a Harry Potter line. Like, that's just a funny one.
Tell me about Shimmick.
But
Where's Shimmick from?
Mendota Heights.
Mendota Heights.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was a Gentry kid.
Gentry. Okay.
Yeah, and then he played with the Lucius brothers. He was on their line.
Lucius, committed to the Gophers, played at Wisconsin, now at Arizona State, of course.
Of course.
That natural progression, and then Potter was committed to Michigan State. Winds up with the Sun Devils. So
Yeah.
hence,
And he only played 1 year at the program.
yes,
Came in as senior in high school, and that helped his draft.
familiar name.
status.
His mother, a gold medal winner.
Jenny Schmigdal Potter.
Jenny Potter, Edina Star, and
Yep.
Minnesota Duluth, and good hockey
Yeah.
bloodlines there.
Very good.
Well, Gavin McKenna did not disappoint. Seems like he had a good weekend. I watched a bit of the stream on YouTube on Friday night, I believe that was. Just turned it on in time for his first assist of the night, so that was fun to watch. And according to Ryan Kennedy, there was 57 NHL scouts at his debut game. So obviously, it sounds like it was a packed night. And Penn State seems like they're going to be pretty good because we know Arizona State is not a joke team. So they did pretty good this weekend, and he seems like he's going to be a fun guy to watch. And that whole Penn State team, I saw them; they were doing the forks down to Arizona State this weekend. So
You know
they
what?
got some personality.
Some
to
of
it.
that stuff we need. We need that stuff for college hockey. We really do.
Yeah, with the fire.
Couple observations here. Just number one, let's go back to 2010. Let's say 15 years ago. Neither of these programs existed. They were club teams.
Yeah.
So the fact that those two teams are playing and NHL Network is picking up the feed, I mean, just says to me, obviously it's hype about Gavin McKenna, but just shows, what those programs mean to college hockey and having the talent they have mean to college hockey.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, I posted this last week. Like, they had the ice going in for the Georgia club program, and this can happen at Georgia and North Carolina.
And
like that.
And it should.
It should. There's the talent for it, but like again, we go back to ADs, right? Do you think ADs want to take on more? Or you know what I mean? It's not the talent level. It's how much more admin and how much money will it cost.
It's the admin. Adding a hockey program is tough, men's or women's. I mean, Michigan is seeing that right now.
Yeah.
There's a faction at Michigan that's gung-ho to add women's hockey. It's not easy to do, to add 25 student athletes. It's a sport that takes an expensive facility.
Yeah.
It takes jerseys and skates and a lot of equipment and all of that. So it's not easy to do. And if it was easy to do, I think a lot more teams would have done it by now.
Yeah.
With that said, nice 3,200 seat rink going up in Tucson right now.
Really?
Hey, Arizona
State,
you've got a natural rivalry 2 hours down the freeway at the University of Arizona. Let's have the Wildcats and the Sun Devils face now.
Home.
Put them in the NCHC. I don't, whatever you do.
Who cares?
The other thing I'll say, Big Ten, you screwed this one up. Huge, guys.
How
did you not add Arizona State as an affiliate member?
It would have been amazing.
Been your eighth hockey. I was the first time the Gophers went to Tempe. I think the only time they've gone to Tempe, that 22-23 season.
Yeah.
One of the higher ups in the U of M athletic department is there. I see him in the lobby of the hotel. Phoenix metro area. One of the
place is packed with Gopher fans.
Right. One of the top 5, growing metro areas in the country. Big TV market. All of that. I said, okay, you're in on all these Big Ten meetings. They're expanding to Los Angeles. They're expanding to Seattle because they want all these big TV markets. They don't want this one? Are you out of your mind?
I know. But it's also hockey. Hockey's just a live programming thing for the Big Ten network.
And apparently the Big Ten got high and mighty about academics.
And they aren't in the AAU.
Somehow Arizona State didn't meet their academic standards.
Not even close.
Yeah. So, okay.
I'm sure that's the case. But it's an auxiliary sport.
Yeah.
They have Johns Hopkins in the lacrosse division.
Doesn't
that balance out Arizona State?
Right. They have Notre Dame
like it evens it out, right?
Yep.
It evens it out. Like, call it good. Who cares? It's just hockey.
Oh, and then bit of news, by the way, out of this series. Jackson Smith, big name out of the Western Hockey League. Tri-City Americans last year, signed with Penn State.
Yeah.
Scratched this weekend.
I heard it was illness.
Heard it was an illness.
Made it sound like maybe not.
Jess is already stirring things up here.
I'm not
stirring it up.
I hope.
Well, I saw people on Twitter stirring things up, and then I saw someone else say, "Don't worry, it's illness."
Okay.
So I don't know.
I hope that's the case. I hope he's feeling better.
Maybe not be worried. Maybe both.
I hope he's feeling better. I hope it was just a cold, and they didn't want him around the pink eye. Whatever it happened to be. I'm just saying. A lot
something
of these,
to watch.
I think it's something to watch because I think there might be a bit of culture shock, let's just say, for these Western Hockey League kids or Central Hockey or Ontario League kids who have not been in an academic setting before. That wait, all of a sudden, what? I got to write a paper? I just think that will take some adjusting for some kids. And you may see some fluidity in rosters.
I also think the amount of players on the rosters, 25, 26, we could talk about that, the number, what some schools have to be at. That's a lot of hockey players to keep happy with only one puck, right?
By the way, since we're talking Big Ten and potential expansion, Iowa, get it done.
I know.
You've got a rink. You've got a conference. You've got money. You've got everything in place. You've got the USHL right in your backyard.
Everything.
Get it done, Iowa.
Everything. Well, Illinois was almost there. They were almost there.
COVID supposedly killed it. Although they never actually built the rink there either. So.
Or any facility there.
Right.
I know. So it's still possible.
Oh yeah, no. I saw the jersey mock-ups. I saw the artist rendering of the arena with the 2024 national champions banner hanging from the Fighting Illini. Yeah.
I love it. All right, let's keep rolling.
So everybody watched that game, and side note, not a Minnesotan again, but Charlie Serrato, 6 points in those 2 games for Penn State. Pretty wild. That's crazy. 2 goals, 4 assists.
Charlie Serrato has U of M ties, Did you know that?
I did not know that. Do you want to elaborate?
His dad, Vinny, was an assistant coach for Lou Holtz in the mid-'80s here at the University of Minnesota.
Okay.
And then he went on to become like the GM or something like that of the Washington Redskins.
Interesting.
Vinny Serrato.
By the way, quick plug for people. If you're a Gopher fan, or if you're looking to make a college hockey road trip at some point, Penn State's a cool place.
Oh yeah.
It's middle of nowhere. I call it East Houghton.
Hard. It is East Houghton.
It's a very isolated town.
Houghton is easy to get to compared to that.
Yeah, it's not easy to get to. You fly to.
You could not get to State College in 6 hours.
No,
I don't think you could.
From here?
From Minneapolis.
Oh goodness, no.
No, you could. It has to be more.
Yeah, it would be about 6 hours.
You get a 45-minute layover. I don't think it's possible.
You can fly. Well, I'll give you some advice. If you're going to go to State College from the Twin Cities, fly to Baltimore. Interestingly enough, it's about a 3-hour drive from Baltimore, and it's a pretty drive. Cool place, small town.
We went through Philly. We went through Philly. Philly was 3 hours away.
Yep.
It was ugly drive, especially I went for football. So getting out of State College back to Philly on a 1-lane road.
Yeah.
90,000 people, 40,000 people heading back to Philly area was not pretty.
It's a small town nestled into a valley.
Cool.
They call it Hockey Valley. It's a fantastic rink.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I met Terry Pagula last year, the owner of the Sabres.
Seriously?
Name
dropper.
He was at the Wild game, and I'd never met him before. He's standing there. I went up and I just said, "Hey, I'm not a Penn State guy, or anything like that, but I said I want to thank you for what you did. You built that rink. He fundamentally changed college hockey.
Yeah, he did.
Bringing the Big Ten online, but he did it right. And to bring a program like that on board, fantastic. So that's my plug. You can get a good Philly cheesesteak there. You can get the Primanti Brothers sandwich, from Pittsburgh with the French fries.
They have Primanti Brothers in State College?
They have a Primanti Brothers in State College.
Really?
Yeah.
I've only tailgated for football there, so I don't know. But the rule is if your team wins, you get to go to the Creamery afterwards. And
and then the Creamery.
I've been there 4 times. The Gophers lost 3 out of 4.
The Creamery, so Penn State, like a lot of state schools, is an ag school.
Yep, big time.
And one thing they pride themselves on is the
Creamery.
And the ice cream and the cheese and stuff like that. And little bit of trivia, by the way. Former employee of the Creamery when she was a student there, Wendy Sandelin, actually worked at the Creamery.
What?
When she went to Penn State, studied nursing there. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Met her husband Scott when he was playing for the Hershey Bears, and she was.
I did not know that.
She was working as a nurse in Hershey, and
we could just go on. I could go on.
And the rest is history.
I got more Sandelin stories than you care to know. Just crazy ones.
So anytime I've been at the Creamery, I've sent a text to Wendy Sandelin. Said,
nice.
Any of your old coworkers here? She's like, no, it's 25 years ago, probably not.
Right. All right, let's move on to Northern Michigan note. I always love that.
Yeah, so I wanted to throw this in there because I kept seeing it all up on the feed last night. Northern Michigan goalie. I thought it was William Grammy, but I looked up the pronunciation and he's Swedish, so it's apparently Grandma is his last name. Transferred from Wisconsin.
Formerly at Wisconsin.
Made
He was back up there.
65 saves last night, unfortunately in a loss to UMass, but broke some records, 65 saves. And that's just absolutely insane. And I looked it up, and through 2 games, he's already over 100 saves. So
This is one of
this
those
year,
programs, including Bowling Green and Omaha, that brought in a ton of Western Hockey League players. So keep an eye out for the Wildcats this year.
Wildcats. By the way, Minutemen got the sweep today, 4-1 win in the Sunday conclusion of that series. So
Yeah.
yeah, it says
Northern still looking
William
for its first win.
Grandma as a goalie in 2 games this year at Northern Michigan already almost has as many saves as he had all of last year at Wisconsin. So he's had a busy 2 games
He's going to have a
already.
busy year.
So absolutely crazy. I feel bad that he didn't get
Dave
the win
Shayak, by the
for
way, I think is going to do
all
some
that work.
good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
there. Yeah.
He'll do well there.
You know, taking over his alma mater. You know,
The alma mater factor is
Yep.
big, I think.
but you know, it cool town. I love the UP. Houghton's cool. Marquette's cool. Great rivalries. It's
Great rivalry.
cold. It's nasty. They get thousands of inches of snow. But just I grew up in the old WCHA where, you know, we'd hop in the car in Duluth and drive
Over
5 hours
yeah.
to Houghton or 5 hours to Marquette, and you get the time change. You know, they're in the Eastern time zone. It's just
Yeah.
different world.
Grant loved it. Grant Pataldi, a friend of mine, when he was
Yep.
the coach there, whenever he and I would talk about players or just call me whatever topics, and he was like, "I just love it here. This is great. It's all about hockey. We're the center of attention."
If you're a
You know?
Wildcats fan, how much time do you think you spent in the last year thinking, well, you know, Grant and Hampton Soklinski were committed here?
Just imagine, right?
Do you think at all about maybe what those 2 guys would have done?
They would have done
in green and gold
good things. Good things. No
after
question.
they go
about
down
it.
to
Yeah.
Kalamazoo and
Win,
produce a
yeah.
national championship.
Well, in addition to that, I'll say I found the tweet from the school that said it was the most saves in a game in program history. It's 66. I thought it was 65, but 66. Most single period saves in program history with 34 in 1 period.
Jeez.
And the second most saves by a goalie in regulation in the modern NCAA era
Oh,
since 2004. So that's a lot of saves. So
That's a lot.
shout
Yeah,
out.
Holy
shout
grandma.
out.
you know what's depressing about that idea is that the modern era started in
2004.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
don't-
probably
I
the
don't-
internet
yeah.
era, right? Like before
Yeah, it
that, it
must-
was pencil paper, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
must be when you went to
You
when
think
you went
about
to
it.
like a national stat program and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it has to be that.
Yeah.
All right, Miami gets a win. Was it
Yeah,
really
so that was-
26 games?
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. I got this info from Schloss's Twitter. Shout out Schloss, also a former member of the Rink Dead. You know, he tweeted
It's kinda
that
like the
their
Grateful Dead.
26-game winless streak came to an end. They beat Ferris, which is also I think they swept Ferris actually.
Yes, they did.
Forgot to check that other score, but first win in like literally like a year basically. So
You know, I know you're the portal queen, but I did not catch that Hobie Hedquist ended up at Ferris.
Yes.
yeah, he
I
did.
did
Yep.
not catch that until it's line chart season, Jess, right? Where you're just
Absolutely.
scanning line charts like crazy. USHL, WHL, NCAA
Yep,
men,
Miami's
NCAA women. I want to know where people are playing. It's fun.
Yeah, Miami swept that series, so I don't even remember the last time they swept somebody either. So that's awesome for Noreen and his staff. We've said this before, Tony, but Miami's coming in the years to come. They got some good recruits coming soon.
Yeah, they're a little bit like St. Thomas, where
Yeah.
they have a great rink, great program, great history,
Great school.
great school. There's a lot to do there. I mean, that's and they got a great staff. So
I'll
I'm
say this
expecting
too,
big things.
since we're talking about Ferris. Wow, end of an era. Bob Daniels had
Yeah.
been there for what,
34,
30, 40 years, something
something
like
like that. Yeah.
Not only Bob Daniels, but his whole staff had been together for like decades.
Yeah.
Like no turnover in that program. Fantastic guy. Almost won a national championship there in
Yes.
2012. They gave Boston College everything they
Everything,
could
yeah,
handle in
yeah, I
the national
remember that.
championship game in Tampa. But just a legend in college hockey. Decided to hang it up after last year. Brett Riley took over the program. He was at Long Island.
You know how we do the Cal Marvin tree.
Yep.
We should do a Riley tree.
Oh, the Riley family.
The Riley tree's just
Yeah.
incredible.
Starting, and again, I'm old.
All at Army, right? Now it's just expanded.
Jack
right?
Riley, the patriarch of the family.
Yeah.
Not only the Army coach for hundreds of years, but 1960 Olympic team.
He was on the team.
He was the coach of the team.
The coach of the team. Yeah, so he's the
And
original.
If the first miracle on ice.
Yeah.
And if you know the history of it, I'm from Warroad.
Here we go.
I know
Here
all
we
about the
go.
Christian brothers.
Yeah.
I know that element.
Yeah.
The really interesting part, Bill Cleary, longtime coach at Harvard, scoring superstar.
Yeah.
He insisted, well, I'm not going unless you bring my brother on the team. And
That's
all
the
this
spot that
all this tension,
Claude Brooks.
Yep. All this tension and infighting because he took a spot away. I'm getting a nice echo here. And in fact, Bill Christian told me he and Roger, his brother, were kind of nobody would talk to the Clearys. There was all this resentment that he had forced his brother onto the team, whatever. And the Christians were the first ones who kind of reached out and said, you know what, whether you like these guys or not, we're a team. We gotta come together, all of that. And lo and behold, they win a gold medal.
It's funny you should say that. So Bill Cleary was my PB coach. Wiz Wyatt, our Wiz Wyatt winner. He was at
Bill Cleary was your Pee Wee coach.
No, Bill Cleary was my Pee Wee coach's coach at Harvard.
Oh, okay.
So my Pee Wee coach went to Harvard.
Because Bill Christian was my Bantam coach.
Of course.
You know,
of course.
Connections everywhere.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. So Wiz was telling me stories. Well, Bill was his coach, right? And he told me that story.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Do you know why Herb Brooks hated Bill Cleary so much?" I'm like, "I didn't know he hated him." And then he just went into this, basically what you just said about Jack
And then
Riley.
again, because the hockey gods have a sense of humor.
Incredible.
How does Bill Cleary win his only national championship? He beats the Gophers in St. Paul.
Yes.
He beats Herb Brooks' team in Herb Brooks' hometown.
Well, I think the Gophers beat them in like 74 in this national semifinals.
Might have been, yeah.
Something like that. So
Harvard had a good run in the 80s. They were one of the top teams in the country in like 83. They went to the Frozen Four.
Yeah.
Forks.
Trust me, I was at the 89 one, that's for sure.
Yeah, that was my first one.
Was it really?
St. Paul Civic Center, yeah.
Randy Scarda. That's all I can say.
Randy
Randy
Scarda.
Scarda hit the post hard. All right, back to where were we, Sydney? Keep us in line here. The echo really went crazy there.
I already see how this podcast is going to work. You and I are just going to go way off that way, and then Sydney's going to lasso us back in.
Bring us back in.
Get us back
it'll
on
be
topic.
different because then, for anyone listening, I'm on Zoom this time, and you guys are in person. But the next show, Tony and I will be in person, and Jess will be on Zoom.
Yep,
So
exactly.
we're gonna have kind of a rotating mix.
I'm
Gabathon.
going to be in Texas for that one, by the way, so I'm going to be saying y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a
you
lot.
will, for sure.
So,
Totally.
so what'd y'all like this weekend? I'm practicing already. Getting ready.
Yeah.
All right.
So we were just talking about Miami. They won, so that's cool to see. One other notable, I didn't watch this game, but I saw the score, and some people were surprised. Quinnipiac beats BC 4-3. I saw some people upset because they're like, Quinnipiac has all the older players. And I'm like, yeah, that's half the teams in college hockey.
It's been like that for
Get
20 years.
used
Wake
to it.
up.
Yeah.
And then because nobody knows anything out east, Quinnipiac
Yeah.
beats BC, huge upset, and then today Providence beats Quinnipiac 2-1.
Of course.
Yeah,
So
I saw that. Very odd.
go figure. What's going on in New England? Who knows?
Well, to me, I took a look at the BC roster. How is that team losing? How could they even be close?
Yeah.
They should be beating Quinnipiac like Michigan was beating Mercyhurst this weekend.
Well, and one thing too, I don't know if you guys saw this. There was some debate online with some of the players last minute that got added to rosters from the ECHL and from pro hockey, which is a new thing in college. Quinnipiac has a player named Graham Sward, who's a 2022 draft pick. He played for them this year, had a goal in their game. He played all of last season in the ECHL and even logged 2 AHL games playing in college, which is wild.
Who's the guy who's going to play goalie at North Dakota who actually played in an NHL preseason game this year?
Caleb Heil?
Yeah.
He's still in juniors.
Yeah, but he played.
He's playing one more year.
He was on roster for an NHL preseason.
Yeah,
game.
I coached Caleb on our Great Plains team. Good goalie. Really good goalie.
Crazy world we live in.
It is a weird world.
Yeah.
But like when that all happened, there was like articles. A lot of college hockey writers were just aghast by all these. When I think Jared pulled a story off for Bemidji's came out, right?
Yep.
Were you guys surprised at all that this happened? I wasn't surprised at all.
I mean, does anything surprise
Nothing.
us at this point?
I mean, when Tennessee's quarterback makes $8 million a year, how can we be surprised?
Where are the guardrails? I mean,
There are none. There are none.
And I mean, there's good people who work at the NCAA. I'm not an NCAA basher out of habit.
No.
But this seems to be a case where it was just like ready, fire, aim. Let's just change all these rules and we'll see what happens.
Pretty much.
Well, it's happening.
It's happening. It is the
Here we
Wild
go.
West. I was chatting with Ben Gordon about a lot of topics a couple weeks ago, and we were like, are we going to look back like in 3 years or 4 years and just like, what did we just go through?
Yeah.
Because it's just, because it's kind of like a war. Like we're just still trying to figure out how this is going to work. And we don't want to get too aggressive, but we don't want to be too passive. It was kind of his message from the Gophers. Like, we want to be aggressive about this, but at the same time, we don't want to make any big mistakes,
Yep. And interestingly enough, we talked to Bob Motzko about this a couple weeks ago. Gophers haven't been in that pool yet.
Funny you should say that.
They haven't done much in the transfer portal. I think they
A little bit, a little here and there.
I think
Onesie, twosie.
They've gotten 6 players, I think, in 6 years. So an average of 1 a year.
Yeah.
Haven't been super active there, and haven't touched major junior yet.
All right, so I'm going to make a statement without making a statement.
Okay.
And if you watch Bob's actions, not Bob's words, not listen to Bob's words, because Bob hasn't said anything about major junior. If you watch his actions, which just means he's not recruiting there, they're not actively in Western Canada or the OHL for that matter. In fact, they're getting kids from Florida and Texas. He's going more American than he's ever gone before, and less Canadian. I think that's Bob's reaction. Those are his words without saying anything. You know what I mean?
2.5 years ago, when they should have won a national championship, their 2 best players were from Pittsburgh and Phoenix. So let's just they're a national brand now.
They are.
They had Cole Iserman committed at one point.
And had a chance at Macklin Celebrini too. By the way, I mean he was all ready to go. So.
Yep. So I mean that's just the modern reality of college hockey. It used to be, we recruit anybody between Mankato and Hibbing. Now it's.
And I think they've gotten really good, and they would, again, nothing they'd say publicly, but they've gotten really good at sniping those kids. Like a Tate.
A lot of decode.
They're getting really good at that.
Leo Gruba, another one of those. Kid.
August Falloon. I mean, they just go out and he's good enough. Let's go get him right now, right?
But when we asked Bob Motzko about this, or I asked him about it, I said, "You're not in the major junior game right now." He kind of was careful.
I bet his answer would be very careful on that.
But he said, you know what? It's an option, but you look at who we've got coming in. I like who we've got coming in. He seemed to say, if we need to go there, we will. But right now, we don't need to.
Right.
Now, if they have another game with 13 shots, maybe there are going to be some needs. But
and again, I hate to compare the Gophers with North Dakota, but I think they're in that staff and the Gopher staff are in completely different junctures of their spot, right?
Absolutely.
Where Bryn and Dane, they got to make a splash.
Yeah.
So they're out getting big names and doing some things to generate interest and generate positive flow for their program.
Yep.
Where Bob is kind of more established now, 7-8 years in. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
So that's kind of my take on it. Like, they don't have to do it yet. They're going to get guys that they want. Just the way they've been doing it.
We mentioned Quinnipiac, by the way, a fun game for our listeners and our viewers. I just want to tip people off to this. This can go on all season long, by the way. Rand Pecknold, the coach at Quinnipiac, very successful, done great stuff with a school that nobody had ever heard of before. Won a national championship. God bless him. Great coach, great guy. Here's what somebody pointed out to me: you can play the Rand Pecknold drinking game all season.
Ooh.
Anytime he speaks to the media, have a beverage handy, and when you hear the word culture, take a drink, and
Will you be intoxicated?
You'll be there quickly. And in fact, when they do their formal press conferences and they show their locker room stuff, culture everywhere. That's their thing. I've actually given other coaches a little bit of crap because I've said, hey, you used culture 3 times in your statement. You're drifting into Pecknold territory.
Yeah, you're in that Pecknold land there.
Culture. A lot about culture.
Well, this has been fun. Let's keep rolling. We got some more notes here, Sydney. Let's hear them.
Yeah, so
Didn't I tell you
couple
never to
other-
put Garrett Shifsky's name on here? Like he's on the don't touch list, right?
We don't
well, I
like,
put him under other notable. So
We were
don't
joking,
need
like, who do we
to
talk about
every
on
episode,
summits
but-
from our summits? I'm like, we can't do kids like Shifsky because they'd be on every night. You know, they'd be boring. No one wants to hear about Garrett Shifsky because he scores all the time.
he's the Andover kid, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great
Yeah.
player.
And
So-
that's meant as a compliment, Garrett, not a slam.
We just updated the notes, by the way. He's been deleted.
Delete him out.
We've stricken him from the record.
But like, you can't
other
talk about
first-
Max Plant every week. It would be boring. You know.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Other first collegiate goal scorers: Wilson Dahlheimer, Monticello for Lake State, sophomore forward. Like to see that. Joe
So-
Schiller, sophomore at Northern Michigan from Moorhead, scored a goal.
Here's a
and Bradley
good Wilson
Walker.
Dahlheimer story, really quick. Quick little Wilson.
Great name, by the way.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine sold for Coors.
Yep.
For years, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm playing golf with the Dahlheimers." I'm like, "Who are they?" He goes, "Oh, they're the distributor for our product or whatever." I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of," and you kind of remember that name, right? And I remember he was always going to play like these Monticello type courses, but I never really did the 2+2. So state tournament, we interview a player from every team in the state tournament. Now I'm trucking around the state, and I hook up with this Wilson Dahlheimer from Monticello. And he goes, "Yeah, we're having a team meeting for the tournament. It's a Sunday night before the state tournament." He goes, "Yeah, come on by my dad's office." I'm like, "All right, where is it?" "Oh, here's the address." I show up. There's probably 60 warehouses full of Coors products in this deal. I'm like, "Oh, where are you?" And he goes, "Oh, flash the light." And I go over this, and literally it's just Coors after Coors after Coors, like cases and kegs. And they were the nicest people. It was mom and dad and the son. Everyone had departed from the team meeting, and we did the interview, and it was like, God, and I'm like, "Do you know John Chance?" Was my buddy. He goes,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, we've been friends with him for like 30 years." And I'm like, "Yep, some things just don't change." But yeah, super nice family, good athlete, and he scored a hat trick in the section final to beat St. Cloud Cathedral. That's why I picked him to be the interview, and there he is now scoring college hockey. It's cool.
Good stuff. Congrats to him.
All right, what's
Yeah,
next?
so Wilson Dahlheimer, Joe Schiller, and then Bradley Walker for Miami, all first career goals. Other notable scorers that aren't Garrett Shifsky, Connor Smith, former Totino great
Smitty. Yeah,
player.
he was a White Bear Lake
second-
kid. He was a White Bear Lake kid. Ended
Second
up at
career
Totino.
goal
Yeah.
for Union, and their first goal ever in their new arena, so that's cool. Caden Casey, second career goal, so not first, but thought I would throw that in there.
Another Andover
And-
kid.
Tony, I believe this is pronounced Newharth, right? Owen Newharth.
Yeah.
Colgate, fourth career goal. So wanted to throw that in there.
Prior
I know
Lake
he
kid
was
who ended
a
up
few
at
times last year.
yeah. He's a Prior Lake kid who
there.
ended up at Holy Angels his last couple years.
So those a couple you don't see every time. And then other things I just had on there was just any other upcoming games for this week. I'll just run through them, and if you have any thoughts, feel free. BC plays Minnesota. It's a Thursday-Friday series, so take note of that. Michigan plays Providence. That'll be an interesting one just for rankings purposes. St. Cloud plays Bemidji. I believe that's a home and home. That could be interesting to kind of gauge where both of those teams are at. Same with Augustana UMD. Again, see kind of where both those teams are at. I don't really know. Minnesota State and Omaha. The Mavericks v. the Mavericks. Always
They
fun.
have a trophy, don't they?
I think though.
It's like a
I think
Maverick
so.
Cup or
Yeah,
Maverick
yeah.
something.
They should.
I think they
And-
I know they do. I don't know what it's called though.
Yeah. And then St. Thomas plays North Dakota. So a couple interesting
And is
ones
that
actually.
St. Thomas,
for
North
this week.
Dakota? Check me if I'm wrong. One of those is at Grand Casino Arena, correct?
I believe so. I
Yeah,
believe
think,
you're
I think
right.
one is. Well, I think one is in Grand Forks and one is in down here. At,
I think so.
Crazy home and home. It's like 5.5 hour drive.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
You do it, whatever.
Jeez. That's a long drive for one game.
There's a freeway. I mean,
All right. All
but
right.
they'll get a big house. It'll be good for Tom Reed.
I think it will
Yeah.
be a good night for Tom Reed.
Yeah,
I really
lot
do.
Of, lot of green, a lot of purple.
Good fan bases.
Future NCHC rivals.
Who will have more fans at that game?
I think North Dakota.
North Dakota.
I think so
Let's
too.
be real.
Another one of the fun games I play. Mick Hatton, our former Rink Dead colleague, came up with this one. Any hockey arena I go to anywhere in the world, no matter who is playing, you can find someone in a North Dakota jersey. Wild versus the Bruins in Boston. There's somebody in a Nodak jersey there. Gophers Penn State in state college. There'll be one guy wearing a Fighting Sioux.
Do you know why that is?
I mean,
You don't even have to be at a hockey game. My husband and I like to joke we'll be at an airport in a foreign country and you'll see a jersey there.
Exactly.
True story. True story. Like, and the reason is anyone who attends school at the University of North Dakota leaves the state of North Dakota the day after graduation. And that's not a slam. That's not even a slam. It's a true story.
True, because all the grads I know don't live there.
They leave. And don't take that wrong. That was not meant as a slam.
It's a college town.
It's a college town.
Absolutely.
They'll leave. So
and I'll say this: it's a fantastic college town. Grand Forks as a college town and as a college hockey town does not get any better than that.
No question.
I don't want to go there in January.
No, but you will have to sometimes.
Because the term blowing and drifting snow is a big part of your life, and it's nasty cold. I grew up in the Red River Valley. I know this place. It was.
It's an interesting case study. So I live with a guy. I lived in the state of Virginia. He was a UND guy. Eric Cedarstrom is his name. And we would travel to lots of different ball games, hockey games, sporting events all over the country together in our occupation. And he would wear his stupid North Dakota hat, and I'd wear my ugly Gopher hat.
Yep.
And no one would come up and say hi to me, ever, because anyone who goes to the University of Minnesota, where do they end up? In the Twin Cities.
Yep.
Then they don't leave, right? I was one of the weirdos. No matter where, we were in the center field of Fenway Park, and this guy taps Eric on the shoulder and goes, "Did you used to work at the Antique?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, you were the best." It was like everywhere we went, there would be someone from North Dakota who would greet him with his stupid, ugly North Dakota Sioux hat on.
A little history, by the way, for people who don't know. I think there's a book or a movie called "Things We Lost in the Flood."
The Antique would be one of them.
The Antique. Great bar in East Grand Forks, right?
Yep.
Right on the main drag in East Grand Forks. Dance
Everything.
floor. Just that was the place you went after hockey games. You went to East Grand Forks. You went to the Antique. Well, we literally lost it in the flood.
It was gone.
Great flood of '97. It got wiped out and never came back. And
Did you work at the Antique? Everywhere we went.
Yep.
He was a bar. If you're a bartender at the Antique for 4 years at UND, you're basically a rock star.
You know everyone. Yeah.
You knew everyone there. All right.
We had a bar like that in Duluth, by the way, the Warehouse.
Yeah.
Long gone. Sad.
Long gone.
Just the sign is still on display someplace, the Warehouse bar sign. But anyway.
All right. Enough of UND Gophers. We can
Is
always
the red carpet still there, Sydney?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So some things have survived.
Yes, they have. All right. Let's go through these games. Which game, if you had to pick two games, Jess, which two would you go to? You have a private jet. Which two would you go to?
Oh, I wouldn't even need the jet. I'd go see BC Minnesota.
Both times? You bet.
No. I'd go to one of those games, and I'd go to that St. Thomas, North Dakota game at Grand
That would be
Casino
good.
Arena. Yeah.
Well, boy, are we
those would
talking
be
about provincial? Yeah. I think they are the best games in town or in the Twin Cities this weekend.
Absolutely.
I think so too.
Credit to Motzko and the guys who put together the schedule. Have you looked at what the Gophers are doing in October?
It's unbelievable.
I mean, Michigan Tech.
Well, it doesn't get easier when this Big Ten season starts either.
Right. Michigan Tech was supposed to be,
the easy one,
the easy warm-up series, and you split that one. Then Boston College, then Minnesota Duluth,
then North Dakota,
Oh, and then you go to Wisconsin to open the Big Ten series. Oh, well, okay.
And I think Penn State's after that.
Yeah.
Like, so it's gross.
We're going to know
and there's no breaks.
We're going to know a lot about this Gopher team before Thanksgiving. Probably
there are no breaks in the schedule. They go every weekend.
Probably before you open your Halloween candy, you're going to know a lot about
you're going to know everything you need to know, especially if Gruba doesn't get healthy. I mean, they need a little bit of offensive flair on the blue line, and Leo can give you that.
I'll say this, by the way, too. Penn State, last weekend, great series with Arizona State. Penn State does this every year, but you look at their non-conference schedule. Oh, God. I mean, we will know nothing about Penn State
Nothing.
by November 1st, just because it's.
Yeah.
I heard a coach say, and I like Guy Godowski. He's a friend of mine. I trust him. He trusts me. I think I can lightheartedly take this jab. I heard another coach say, Penn State has to clinch the Atlantic hockey title before they'll leave their own building.
Correct.
Every year. That's just what they schedule in non-conference. They get some close by schools, and
Wait, you don't want to see them play Clarkson, then Long Island, then Stonehill?
Stonehill. Yeah, Stonehill coming to town. You got the jersey up. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
I know.
I just, there are better tests
And
out there.
also RIT in January?
I heard, and granted, they were playing Army last year. I got it because,
His son was there.
Godowski's son played at Army. Well, now, he, by the way, I told Guy Godowski this when I saw him at the summer showcase. I said the two least shocking bits of recruiting news over the college hockey offseason. Number one, somebody named Pietila committed to Michigan Tech.
Shocking.
Because they've had like 24 of them now.
At least.
And then somehow Penn State landed the Godowski
How'd they
kid
get
from
him?
Army.
How'd they do it?
I don't know.
I don't know how they pulled
Crazy.
it off. Okay, Jess has picked Minnesota and the UND game.
By the way, speaking of Godowski,
Yeah.
first All-American in Penn State history. He won.
And
He was an All-American last year.
It.
Army.
He didn't win it.
Yeah,
at,
but
at
he's
Penn
the
State.
first time that Penn State has.
I think they might have an All-American this year too.
Yeah, he
Aiden Fink didn't get one last year.
did not. First time they've had an All-American. This is what's crazy to me about Penn State. Granted, they're only 10, 12 years into their run. You look at the numbers of Penn State guys in the NHL, and there aren't many.
No.
They haven't sent a lot of, and they've had some great players, but they just haven't translated to that next level. It's
gonna
subject to
happen.
change because
Charlie Serrato's an NHL player.
yeah, I think Aiden Fink is an
legit.
undersized NHL player.
Yeah.
But you could, he has the skating skills where he could be a third liner in the NHL. I don't think there's a question.
All right, what are your two games? Are you going to copy Jess on your two games? I love UMD.
No,
I really want to see UMD. That's why I want to put them on the
I am definitely
list.
really interested in the Michigan Providence game. I just think that's a lot of these early season games. I'm kind of like, okay, who's winning this, just to kind of gauge what is happening with some of these teams. Because Michigan seems like they're going to be good, but they also played Mercyhurst, so hard to say. And Providence obviously just beat Quinnipiac, so I don't know. I think that'll be an interesting one. And obviously, I'll be watching the St. Cloud Bemidji game, and that game I think too will give me a little bit more realistic expectations for both of those teams.
So you're going to take Michigan, Providence, and St. Cloud Bemidji?
Yeah, because St. Cloud, St. Thomas, I feel like I picked up on a little bit, but since it was just one game, I didn't get a ton of notes for either of those teams. And Bemidji, obviously, they played Anchorage, and hard to tell since Anchorage hasn't been super good. So I think that'll be nice to just kind of gauge where those two teams are going to be here this month and through early in the season.
I'm a Minnesota homer, so I want to see all those kids from Augustana against all those kids from UMD. That'll be the game I'd like to see.
In football they say when everything is equal, always pick the more desperate team.
Yeah.
Everything's pretty equal. How do you find a more desperate team between BC and Minnesota right now?
Both are desperate.
Who has got more to prove right now after last weekend when both of them lost unexpectedly?
When they shouldn't have. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. And then my other game I'm going to go with after Augustana. I would have picked the St. Cloud Bemidji game too because there's so many Minnesota kids on those teams too. And I really want to see how good St. Cloud is going to be this year. I'm not sure we learn with one game against St. Thomas.
As Sydney said too, kind of a good measuring stick for both of those.
I think so too.
I think so too. Bemidji's riding high. They scored a lot of goals last weekend, but did you learn a lot about your team against competition like what Anchorage can put up? I think you're going to learn a lot more against a Huskies team that showed some real fight last weekend.
I agree with that. So I think we've knocked it all out, haven't we?
I can't.
I think so.
I think we're done our first week. Great show.
Okay, really good rehearsal. When do we tape it? No. Oh wait, this was it.
That was it. That was it.
Only
my friend.
2 technical difficulties.
Yeah, a couple technical difficulties. That was weird. So we'll have to work through those. Good luck, Ryan, with producing this thing with those.
It's not like we moved offices or anything.
No, I know. So good show. Thank you, Sydney. Thank you, Jess, for being here. This is the first edition of the second season of This Week in College Hockey.